You know what it is, man. This one is going to be about the Jamaicans and the Colombians. The Jamaican and the Colombians, and then the other Latin organizations and countries got involved. So this is going to be really interesting. All right.
Keep it going, 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 keep it going. Mecca what? Mecca audio, Mecca what? Mecca audio, Mecca what? Mecca audio, Mecca what? Mecca audio. I like the way it's going.
You know what it is, Unique Mecca, man. This one here is going to be about the Jamaicans and the Colombians, man. We're in Lewisburg, 1995. Let me see how I'm going to start this. Make sure y'all understand this and understand how this thing going. I had to turn the volume up a little bit. We had a Jamaican brother from the Bronx that was official. I'm not going to say his name because I reached out to him on Instagram, just caught up with him. And I want to make sure that, you know, I get his approval before I say his name. But you know, those of y'all that was there know, and those that wasn't don't. So that's what it is. If you don't know, you ain't supposed to know. If you know, you're supposed to know, and that's what it is. Now we in Lewisburg, and it was a Colombian there that was a rat. Yeah, a rat. Like I said, we in the prison we despise rats with a gunshot. Despise rats just as much as I despise dudes that wear flip flops in public. You know what I mean? Let's get that right. Them flip-flop wearing cats, get them out of here. You know what I mean? Just like the trolls. Give them a gunshot too. You know what I mean? Now, this brother here was so official. It was a Colombian dude that was a rat. He didn't like rats, just like the rest of us, because we was all put in prison from rats. So we don't like rats. But anyways, this Colombian dude that's in there, he doing his thing. You know what I mean? He got plenty of money. I mean, he got millions on the street. You know what I mean? He was one of the big boys down with Escalation and all that. So the Jamaican dude decided to say, nah, can't no rat sit amongst us and eat like a king when he's nothing more than a peasant, because he sat down at the table with the federal government. Gunshots for that.
Mecca what? Mecca audio.
Gunshots for that. Now, this dude sat down with the government, became a rat. The other Colombians, they wasn't really that hard on it like we was, as far as from the crack era, as far as tolerating rats. So his people just told him to stay over there, and as long as you over there and we over here, we're gonna ignore the fact that you ate the cheese. You know what I mean? Let's call it that. He ate the cheese. So the Jamaican brother rose up on him and tell him, yo, you know, I ain't got to tell you what time it is. I want 5,000 sent to this address by 12 o'clock tomorrow. You know what I mean? Now, the Jamaican brother said, you know, he came together with a coalition of other, you know, gangsters in the prison. Big shout out to the gangsters. Calm down. He came with a coalition with all the gangsters that, you know, we was going to run, you know. The rats had to pay. Bottom line, you can't be a rat on a compound and you're not paying dues and you done violated the code. So, you know, he went and got a brother from D.C., I'm not going to say his name, a brother from, he was from New York, got a brother from Chicago, Miami, you know, everywhere except the West Coast, because they only had two West Coast brothers in Lewisburg in 95. Crip and a blood, one of each. You know, they did that to see if they was going to get along, if they could bring other bloods and Crips there. So they brought one blood and one Crip. They got along, so they eventually started bringing more in because, you know, it was one of those what we call back then on site. On site is if you see somebody you beefing with, it's on site that wherever you see him, which is sight, you got to put the knife in him. Even if he's with his mother, he in the visiting hall. I done told you all about when the Latin King dude ripped the dude, you know what I mean, with the razor blade in the visit. I done told you about a little bit of everything, you know what I mean? That's called on site. So dude is up in there, and, you know, he tell the rat he got to have that by tomorrow. So they put a coalition of men together, and they call themselves the Black Hand. You know what I mean? They call themselves the Black Hand because they were putting a black hand down on these rat bastards. You know what I mean? Just so you understand. So now, he get the dude the kite, and when he gives him the kite, the dude turns around and he tells his homies don't mess with him. They just told him, you stay over there, we stay over here. So now, as far as we knew that, the other Latin community didn't mess with him because he was a rat. So that's why homies signaled him out. But things got a little discombobulated, and, being that he was, he was Latin descent, the other Latins looked at it like, this is the blacks moving on one of us, even though the one of us is a rat, So being that they allowed him to stay there, they had to roll with him, So now he turns around, and the next day when it was time to go to the yard, the Jamaican brother from the Bronx that put the whole coalition, the Black Hand together, he gets his knife, and all of us get our knives, and we all go out in the yard because we know that, it's getting ready to be a move. Now, this is his move, but we still got to hold him down because he's black, And that's what's crazy that I want y'all to understand that ain't been to prison. That's just sitting back in your living room talking about it's easy and you can survive and you could do this and that. You know what I mean? If it's another race against your race, I don't care if the dude is from Timbuktu and you don't like him or whatever, you got to hold him down, because if you allow somebody to do something to your race, that means that you're a coward and your race is a coward because you allowed one of yours to go astray. So that's why, the other Latin groups, they got involved with dude because that same reason, that even though he's a rat, we allowed him to stay here. So if we allow the blacks to do something to him, then that means that we cowards and we're allowing another race to put their hands on ours and discipline ours, and we don't allow no one to discipline ours but ourselves. So y'all follow me? Okay. So now, everybody go to the yard, all the blacks got their knives in the yard and all that. So, bottom line is, the dude from New York that went to move on him, he felt like the dude was weak. That's why he went. But the dude had plenty of paper. So what he did was disperse his paper amongst the other Latin communities and let them know that, yeah, I told, but, I'm here for you and we all in this together. So now everybody go out there, but the New York dude and the other coalition of men, they figured that it was going to be nothing more than just them going up against this rat. So my man goes out to the yard. When my man go to the yard, he pushed right up on the rat. And he told the rat straight up, yo, what's up? That money ain't get there yet, So as soon as he says that, this other dude, big old Spanish dude, he rolls up out of nowhere and he stabs my man in the chest. Bang! You understand what I'm saying? So now when he stabbed him in the chest, my man get to fighting even though he got hit, because that's how it is. Nothing slow you down. You can't let a little puncture wound, you know what I mean? You can't let a little puncture wound slow you down when you out on the battlefield. And that's why I want to say Happy Memorial Day, you know what I mean, to all my soldiers and soldierettes that we lost during the time of the struggle on the street. I know this is Memorial Day for the Europeans and those that fought their war overseas, but I'm talking about those that fought the wars right here, on this soil, like the crack era, like the gang era. Rest in peace to King Von, FBG Duck, my man Tom Slaughter, my man Jay, Rich Porter, you know what I mean? All the brothers that lost their lives during the struggle. That's what this is for. This is Memorial Day. This is our Memorial Day. So have a drink for your fallen soldiers that you know. This is our Memorial Day weekend. So don't forget about our soldiers that lost their lives during our war. Don't let them tell you that our war wasn't important and our war wasn't a war and our war was just us against the civilians or, the citizens. No, you know what I mean? They put all these implementations in our path and we grabbed onto it. And in order to hold on to it and move forward with the implementation that they put, we had to fight amongst each other. We're not proud of it and I apologize for it. Just like we had to, not had to, but just like we did poison our community, but they put these means of, financial support in our path that they knew would destroy our community and knew that we had nothing to eat or pay our bills with But now they give us a chance to do that. And when we grab that, or should I say, when we seize that opportunity, then now they want to make this mandatory minimum and X amount of drugs get you locked away for a certain amount of time, and the judge ain't got no say so with it. But then Donald Trump came, and I know y'all hate him, but I gotta say I love him as a man because he stands on man time. Oh man, just thinking about it. So many of us came out on the Donald Trump era, you know? So y'all can hate on him all you want, but look at the condition the country's in now. But I'm not gonna get into that right now. You know what I mean? Because y'all been y'all been following the democratic rules for so long, where they paid your rent for 20, 30 years. You know what I mean? Where you only had to pay $30 a month and you thought you was getting over. But here it is 30 years later, you're still living in the same projects. You're still living in the same environment. You're still making the same paycheck, if you're even making a paycheck. But they pay your rent, so you get lax and think that this is what life is about, getting free rent. So they teach us that getting over. So we think we're getting over, but we're getting over when the other races is elevating, we still stagnating down here. And that's what this program is about, waking up our people. Now, we in the yard, the homie gets stabbed, and while we walking in, you know, another homie hands him a knife, you know, and instead of him going in the unit to safety, he said, nah, I'm going back in the battlefield. Happy Memorial Day. Calm down. Happy Memorial Day. He went back in the battlefield and said, I'm not going to leave and have them get out on me that I tried to put a move down and somebody stabbed me and I didn't do nothing about it. So a homie grabbed a bone crusher. That's what we call it, a bone crusher. A bone crusher is a knife the size of this. You know what I mean? Imagine somebody putting this through you. That's a bone crusher. You know what I mean? So he went and got the bone crusher and he went back and he put his work in. He must have slaughtered about 3-4 of those Latinos. You know, I'm trying to keep it politically correct because I'm not picking sides. I'm just telling you the facts of what happened. He went back and he put his work in. So as he put his work in, here goes the other Latinos jumped in to save their man that stabbed my man. So now we all got to get involved. Now we got a big brawl going on in the yard. The police throw open the tower doors and they start shooting rounds down on us. I mean, they're raining bullets, but that didn't stop nobody because whoever stopped was going to get, you know, stabbed by the opposing party. So you can't stop doing war, even when the enemy is fighting shots. So everybody's out there fighting and stabbing. I mean, they jugging and I mean, it's going on. I mean, it was bananas. So this is what y'all want to enter into. Feel free to enter into it because it's out there for you. You know what I mean? This Memorial Day, because we lost a lot of soldiers in this. I lost my brother, rest in peace, Khalif, a.k.a. Peter. You understand what I'm saying? Lost a lot of good brothers, you know, during this time. And that's what this holiday is for. So don't let them just tell you that it's for their fallen soldiers. Let's not forget our fallen soldiers. And that's what I'm here to wake you up to. I know this channel is different and to give you a different point of view and a different outlook on life in general. But this is what it's about. It's about knowing that we did the best with what we had at the time of surviving. And some of us survived and some of us didn't. And those are our fallen soldiers. So again, please, let's give our fallen soldiers a round of applause. All right, calm down. And let's give 3 gunshot salute. Let's give a 3 gunshot salute. One more. All right, that's for our fallen soldiers. You know, I gotta respect them and honor them because they walked these same battlefields with us at the time when it went on. The same as their soldiers walked their battlefields. We have wars going on right here, right now in the United States. Everybody's looking at what's going on in Chicago like these are just young dudes that done lost it. No, this is a war that was created by the government by putting all these guns The same way they went to Iraq looking for weapons of mass destruction, but they sold them these same ingredients that they needed for these things, and then they thought they were putting it together to make the weapons of mass destruction, so they went up over there looking for them. It's the same way they flooded our neighborhoods with guns. When I was growing up, during the crack era, during my era, they flooded the neighborhood with cocaine, and we picked it up and we snorted it, smoked it, sold it, cooked it, shot it, and did everything under the sun with it. Now, I've been gone for 3 decades. Here it is 3 decades later, and they're flooding our communities again, but not with narcotics, but with guns. And then now our youth is picking up the guns, and the simple arguments that that we had back then, that would have just been a fist fight. You know what I mean? Turned into a gunfight. And there's no do-overs when you get shot in the head. You can't say stop, let's rewind that like Mortal Kombat or Grand Theft Auto. It don't work that way. So they flooded our neighborhood with these guns, and our youth, entered into a war amongst each other. Amongst whether it's the color, the block, the geographical location you live on. These are the self-created wars by our government. And we need them to step in now to fix it, because they're the ones that made these guns accessible. They talking all this in Washington about the Second Amendment and the right to bear arms, this and that, and you got the Democrats fighting to stop the guns, the Republicans fighting to keep the guns, but all of this going on, you got to keep in mind one thing. These guns that our brothers are getting, they're not getting them through the legal channels. They're getting them through the illegal channels that the government allowed, our people to slide them to each other. And we don't know no better, so we start sliding on each other. And that's what I'm here for. To tell you, no, that's not the way to go. Don't let them trick you like they tricked me out of 3 decades of my life. Don't let them take decades out of your life because you fell into the gun trap like I fell into the crack trap. This is Memorial Day weekend, and that's what this program is for. I'm going to do another more in-depth program on this, probably for tomorrow, Monday. It's Sunday. If they monetize this, I'm going to go ahead and put it up right now. But if not, I'll put it up tomorrow. If they do, I'll do another one tomorrow more in depth. So if y'all want more on that, put it in the comment. Like I said, it's still bothering me. It's still bothering me that this European from the trap something, labeled King Von a serial killer. But he was a casualty of war. Because the government declares war or choose the war they want, don't mean that's the only war. They declared war on us when they gave our babies access to guns. That was them declaring war on us, because they gave our babies guns that didn't even know how to use a baseball bat. You know what I mean? They're bare knuckles. Instead, they give them a gun and access to plenty of bullets. If they made bullets $100 a piece, I think that'll help stop the killing. You know what I mean? But then the regular Europeans wouldn't be able to buy them at $100 a piece. But they make it where you could go buy a box of bullets for daggone nothing, a gun for nothing. I mean, they're all over the place, But let me ride back into the penitentiary, because I got off on my little political rant for a minute. Let me ride back into the penitentiary. So everybody's in the yard, and we fighting going on. They shooting, they carrying on, they shooting. All this was over a raid. All this was over a raid. But he was Latino, so the Latino had to hold him down because they allowed him to live on the premises. So this is what it's like in prison. So I'm telling you, don't enter prison. It's not worth it. You know what I mean? Don't let nobody fool you into thinking that it's sweet in there, because these are the things that go on. You got a man on man time that don't like rats going at a rat, telling them you gotta pay to stay. And then you got other men that's supposed to be on man time that's holding this rat down. Where do they do that at? You know, that's because they didn't understand the mechanics. But I tell you one thing, that was in 95. Here it is in 2003. After them rats done locked up so many of us men on man time that right now, they don't even allow them to live on the compound. They're making compounds in the prison now, because you know y'all hear, yeah, dudes, you know, doing time and that. They're making compounds now. Like Arizona, they made it for the sex offenders. I got to do a whole joint on Arizona. You know what I mean? Arizona penitentiary is a sex offender joint. So if you got a sex case on your thing, they send you out there. Then they got Terry Hunt, which is a dropout yard. That's like if you was in a gang and they debrief you and you tell them everything you know about the gang. And, you know, they put you on the yard and keep you separated from the gang. And if you violate the yard, then they throw you back to the wolves with the gang. You know what I mean? So they keep that noose over your neck. So this is what we're trying to prevent. This is what we're trying to prevent over at Unique Mecca Audio, which is our people winding up in these unjustly inhuman, or what they call it, inhumane circumstances and situations. You know? So I just felt like getting on that for the day. I'm not going to be on here too long, but bottom line is I'm going to finish this one up later. I'm getting a little emotional because I can't understand how y'all forgot that even the government said they was declaring war on the urban communities for them selling crack cocaine, the same crack cocaine that they put on the streets of America. Remember, it was the war on drugs. Don't sleep. It was the war on drugs. Now we have a war on our youth again, but now instead of using drugs, they're using guns and gangs to attack our youth, to take our youth from us. But now us elders is out. So it's our duty to speak for them. I'm not into no political party. I'm not going to get into all of that because it's not about politics. It's about our babies. It's about our babies that they put these deadly weapons in their hands before they learn how to use a pencil. They put deadly weapons in their hand. And what do you expect them to do? But, you know, I'm getting ready to tap out, man. You know, I've been on here. I just want to hit that for the holiday, man, all right? So, happy Memorial Day to all of y'all. And gunshots to the rats. Gunshots to the flip-flop wearers. Gunshots to the rats. Let's not forget that. All right? Let's go.
Keep it going, 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 keep it going. Mecca what? Mecca audio, Mecca what? Mecca audio, Mecca what? Mecca audio, Mecca what? Mecca audio. I like the way it's. Cheers, cheers, toast the crime, toast the crime, the crime, the crime, the crime. What?
Fresh out the can of 26, yeah. Heat back on the strip, getting back in the mix. Yeah. What he mentions a gift. Rush. You stand up 10 toes down, and I suggest you pay attention to this. Real. Take a little gully posse and put it in Harlem. He cut from the bottom, came up from the bottom. Drop the book, you should go and get it. The Instagram page and the YouTube, you could go and visit. Yeah. Then you could consider yourself LinkedIn. Real. Sit front row and get Jews from a kingpin. How he went through it, so you ain't gotta go do it. To not pay attention would be stupid. Talking about a man that probably put your grandfather on. Probably the reason that him and your grams got along. A man that generated millions on the block, did his time, never squilling to the cops, make an audio.
Mecca what?
get it live like 2 G's in the 90s. Drop top beamer so shiny. I let shorty go, she was whining. Treat her like my past, she behind me. Spend a couple bands on the Dapper Dan. You be back again, getting green like a Packers fan. No cap, it's a roaring uptown. Baby horn uptown, Dominican bust downs. Now we on the positive, we got a lot to give. Now he trying to stop the kids from being inoperative. So take heed, homie, lend a ear. He started in uptown, he gon' finish dead. But now it ain't about selling drugs, buying cars. It's about buying property to make the community ours. So we can give back to the youth them. Cause they the truth them. And bless up to all the rude men.
This right here, I wanna give a salute to all our fallen soldiers that we lost in the streets, that we lost that's in the penitentiary doing life and doing double-digit numbers like 50 years, which is life, you know? Put in the comments who you want to give your shout out to for your fallen soldiers that's either doing life, doing football numbers, or passed away during the struggle. All right, let's get this thing right, man. Come on. All right. Special announcement, man. This is what my Cash App look like. It must have that green checkered box to the right of my name. No picture of me, none of that. This is exactly what my Cash App look like once you put in Unique Mecca Hall and you get ready to send it. It must have that green checkered box. Let's get this thing going. All right.